Composite gloves here. This one's a little bit different. This one is a bit of a dev vlog kind of thing. It's going to be kind of short. I've been working on a new table system to replace this old table system. There's a bunch of things I want to add, and the way I coded this one turned into somewhat of a disaster. And I am rewriting it from the ground up with a lot more things being considered. For example, I don't have a way of easily grouping related categories. So I have all these things for dates. And it'd be nice if there's just one column that had all the dates that were sortable there. It would save a lot of space. There's also things like the download on the developer's site. This should really probably just be a tab or something on the side that just easily links to it. So there's stuff like that. The grouping of data could be more efficient. The way it fetches data right now is extremely inefficient, and I plan on fixing that. This top area is its own container, so you see how it's not synced up. I have this insane logic loop thing that checks DOM elements recursively to check if one is moved. Because if you don't do it a certain way, it creates an infinite loop. And yeah, but that was at the time, this was the best I could think of. So they're actually two entirely separate containers that lock up. And if you scroll on the bottom one, it works flawlessly. But if you scroll on the top one, it's not flawless no more. So those are some of the things I wanted. Other things, I'd love users to be able to pick their own colors for these things, or at least provide standard colors or layouts, have selections appear, make things resizable. Right now, I can only have one table per page. The code just doesn't play nice if you have more than one per page. So if I have multiple items from different databases that I'd like to show, like in multiple tables, you can't do that. You can't click and drag to move rows around or columns around. So if there's a particular column you want to see frequently, there's no user areas. Like you can't have any settings per user if you're logged in. So all of these things and a whole bunch more are things I'd like to add, but it's just not going to happen with the current code base. So this is the testing grounds right now for the new database system. And I'm testing with two tables to make sure everything loads correctly and works correctly. You'd be shocked how often stuff breaks. But this is just the general, the guts. I'm still at the very beginning stages of some of this stuff, but it is all in one. And look at this. One thing I didn't talk about, there's sticky rows. And you see how these are, each one of these darker rows is a sticky row. And I'd like to be able to mark rows as sticky so that when you scroll, they stick like that. You see that? That is not even Excel does this. If you want to do that, it would force you to make this middle row sticky as well. For some reason, you can't have arbitrarily sticky rows in Excel. And then the same thing is true if we give ourselves something. So look at this. These are resizable. And as we scroll, you can see the side ones are sticky. But this resizability is another thing I really wanted to have. And so now this is getting baked in. Right now, this is just like placeholder data. There will be a populating class that will fill these items. And in the old version, you just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and it will just keep loading more and more things. I am going to implement a pagination system to limit the number of items in the DOM. Otherwise, it begins to struggle with so many items being loaded. So there'll probably be like 25 per page or 50. I don't know. I'll make it variable so I can control it. But you'll scroll down. It will continue to load till it hits a certain limit, and then it will move to the next page. Those sorts of things. But the most recent thing I am very proud of is the dragging of the columns. By the way, this is all pure JavaScript. Someone's going to ask. It's completely pure JavaScript. I like using SvelteKit, so this is built in SvelteKit. But this could be used in anything because it is just pure JavaScript. I'm doing this because, I don't know, it's the way I like to do things. I could get involved with components, and I definitely am leaving that open down the line, which I probably will for some stuff. But just having it all pure JS is nice. So the dragging of the rows, if you drag, you can reorder them. Now, right now, they color the rows they affect, right? Because if you do this and they have a different size, You have to account for that size difference, but they don't touch the rows below it because you're not having to reorder any of those rows. But you can see it shrinks. This is row 13. We could drag it up. And critically, it's very smooth when you drag across these, like if you go up and down, like it's just rock solid. When you drag across cells that are bigger than the cell you're actually on. And the way I'm doing this is I'm looking at the lower and upper boundary of each cell, and I track if I've crossed it in a particular direction by looking at if the mouse is moving up or down. And these bigger cells required a little bit more state to be recorded in order to be able to get a smooth action. Because if you just cross the lower and then you change direction, there's a chance that it doesn't, there's an overlap where it'll fire multiple flags at the same time and it gets all glitchy and looks weird. But this is like super predictable. So right now it's just for mouse. I'll worry about touch inputs a little bit down the line, but this was way trickier initially to do than I thought. And I am really proud of it so far. I mean, there's probably still things I could iron out, but this is so much more stable. I'm not going to leave it this way right now. I'm purely focused on functionality. But some of these core features that would just be an utter nightmare for me to try and implement in the other one. Like, see, there's a transitional block. See, I'm going to have to fix stuff like that. I don't know. It is kind of cool though, visually. I don't know. We'll see. It only happens after you swap rows because it adds a class for the shrinking. And I just have to remove the class when the row is finished swapping. But it is, I don't know, it is kind of nice too. Although it does look kind of janky. So maybe not. Anyways, I'll make these from time to time just to show the progress. There are big swaths where I don't work on it and then I come back to it just because some of these things just take me a while to do. And I'm always working on them in the background, trying to make the site even better than it is. Let me know what you think down below. Or if there's anything like you're like, oh man, I wish the site did this or that or the other. There's lots of like other projects I have like half done. Like there's an audio player thing. The idea was to have a player that could take a list of links like Spotify, or not Spotify because their thing's kind of weird, but like SoundCloud playlist and a YouTube playlist, and be able to take all these links together and put them in a player that would play it out like a playlist despite it being from like all these different locations, which would be really handy because in my demos, when you look at the demos, it'd be nice to be able to playlist stuff and then go to other pages of the site. Another thing that's been implemented on the site that is a really nice to have thing is when you get prompted to log in, if you're doing a lesson on one of the courses page, when you log in, it now takes you back to the page you were on instead of to the dashboard. If you were on a page, I have a way of detecting the previous URL and it will send you back there. But if you came straight to the login page, it'll take you right to the dashboard instead. But that's another thing that's really nice because I always hate it when you like log in and then it takes you to somewhere you weren't at and that's where you want to go back to. So that's been fixed, or not fixed, but improved, I guess. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'm excited about these things. I'm usually the only one excited about these things. So it'd be nice to get some feedback every now and then on features and things. I'm not an expert, but I like to tinker and build. Subscribe to that bell icon for future updates and have a blessed day.